Okay, we're so glad to have everyone here today. We're welcoming Jennifer Larson. She is an expert fitness therapist, fitness trainer, and she's an expert in Parkinson's disease. And she has taught for many years specialty exercise classes on Parkinson's disease. And she incorporates a lot of different exercise techniques specific to Parkinson's. So we're glad to have her here today, and she's going to give a short presentation, and then she's going to lead us in some Parkinson's specific exercises. So take it away, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really pleased to be here and speak with you today. So lucky for all of you here today, you do get to start today. So this is just kind of a short presentation on exercise and how you can incorporate it into your daily routine and doing the best for you as we get through this. So moving through, this is just how moving just a little more will help you tomorrow. If you move today, it'll help you tomorrow. We're going to go through again some of those benefits of moving. Robin gave me a quick intro, and I have been working with the Parkinson community for about 15 years. I started in sports medicine. This is crazy to say, almost 3 decades ago. And I morphed into working with Parkinson's specifically by happenstance, but really taking my knowledge of the human body and how everything works, and then seeing with a degenerative disease what happens, how fitness and movement can help to slow that down. And there have been a lot of studies on how exercise has helped. This presentation doesn't go into those studies, but if you are looking for those resources, I definitely have them. You can reach out to me. You'll have my email, and you can contact me directly. I can give you specific resources of scientific papers that have been written on how exercise helps. So we'll be going over basically the gist of what those say. So today we'll be talking about why exercise is important for PD, what type of exercise is the best, and what daily exercises would help. So why is exercise important? So exercise will help to delay mobility disability. So when you're working with PD, it's a degenerative neurological disease, and with that comes some motor skill struggles. And so the more you exercise, the more you can help some of those motor movements to stay stronger longer. And that helps to improve those motor performances mentally and physically, and then to alleviate symptoms affecting the quality of life. So here we're talking about symptoms of depression, mood, motivation, and purpose. So when you exercise, it hits all of these different facets of your life and really integrates into your total well-being of movement, body, physical, mind, all of the everything kind of integrated together. So we really stress the exercise. And what I do with my practice is really try to have you come with an open mind, and exercise is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. And you can always finish a session, even if it's a 5-minute session, with a big pat on the back for yourself. And that really is, it's just a self-fulfilling, I did my best today. And as you know, with PD, sometimes it's minute to minute on how well we're doing. And so it's just taking that moment and that work that you just put into yourself and giving yourself credit for it. That's really important. You may have heard these terms, neuroprotection and neuroplasticity. Scientifically, these are two really important kind of buzzwords for why we exercise. And changes in the brain occur due to exercise. So the neuroprotection refers to the changes in compromised or damaged neurons that spare, rejuvenate, or slow their degeneration. So as you exercise, we're really strengthening those neurons to protect from that degeneration. And then neuroplasticity refers to the changes in synaptic or neural function that restores or compensates for loss of function. So you may have heard like the neural pathways. Exercise helps to create neural pathways. So if you have a movement pattern, so if your walk, for example, is struggling a little bit more, and maybe you shuffle your feet, you're noticing some of your movements that are a little more difficult, the more you practice specifically, the easier that movement will become. And in practicing a specific movement, your body will adapt and can help those pathways to restore some of that loss of function by creating new pathways or strengthening the ones that are already there. And that's really exciting. And I know I received my master's in 2010. And at that time, my work was all primarily on exercise and Parkinson disease. And the research out there with exercise and PD was very sparse. Well, now the research has just exploded, and we still have a long way to go, but this is being looked into. And you may have heard, like, we don't know why exercise is good for you, but it is. We're starting to know why, because we're starting to see those studies come in, which is really exciting. And so if you ask my participants in the class, why do you exercise? They say it feels better. When I finish, I feel like I accomplished something. My body moves better. So these two, neuroprotection, neuroplasticity, they're happening, but you don't have to think about that. But just know that exercise really benefits that and creates these great new pathways and helps you move better. So this is the big question that everybody wants to know. What exercise is the best? I will say, and I'm sure you've heard this before, the best exercise is the one that you will do. And so what exercises are out there? I know that PD specifically in this area, we're really fortunate. There are PD specific Tai Chi classes, boxing. There's some physical therapists. I know Teresa has spoken with you in the past. She's amazing. There's such great resources for PD and movement in this area. There's dance classes and yoga. Then the specific, I call them the Parkinson disease paradigms, and they are the exercise prescriptions that have been developed over the years. I'm sure you've heard of POWER, the PWR. That's a basis, it's a paradigm of movements that are specific for Parkinson's. Delay the Disease is another one. PD Warrior is one that's based out of Australia that I really like. LSVT is important. And many of you have been touched that with physical therapy. So the exercises that's best is the one that you will do. Rec classes are out there. Even walking, just getting out there and moving is the best exercise. So the components of exercise that we want to be aware of are cardiovascular, strength training, flexibility, and mobility. And so in looking at these cardiovascular, I like to just say it's working for a purpose. So it's getting yourself out there and elevating your heart rate. So a lot of people get into the kind of numbers of how high do I need to take my heart. And a lot of people now have smartwatches that tell them your heart rate is this. I really, with most of the populations that I work with, like to use a perceived rate of exertion, which is on a scale of 1 to 10. When you're working at a level where you need to take a breath kind of within every sentence or between every sentence, that's the level that you want to work at. So if you're working so hard that you can't carry on a conversation, that's not a level that I like my population to work at. That's too much. But you want to work where you're moving, you feel your body working a little bit, and you may need to take a couple extra breaths in your regular conversation. So that's kind of the cardiovascular level that I like people to start at if they are not currently training. Strength training is, there's a wide range of options as to how you can do this. the easiest and something everybody has is body weight. And you can do a lot of strength training working with your own body weight. There's videos out there. There are classes. Most of my classes use body weight because otherwise I have to carry a couple 100 pounds of weights in here every day, and I'm not going to do that. So we use a lot of body weight in the classes that I do. Flexibility and mobility are super important. Rigidity is one of those symptoms of PD that many people experience. And so if you can work and have a practice of a flexibility stretching routine where you're working on the movement of your joints, yoga is a really great way to do this. Gentle yoga is one of my favorite classes. I think that everybody benefits from this, even professional athletes who are out there, you know, and their cardio level's way up, their strength training level is way up, but gentle stretching allows you to feel what your body's doing. And that's so important because as your body gets more rigid, if you can work with your body and not always fight it, that gentle stretching is great. The first thing I'm going to go over when we get to the actual part of exercise is going to be a routine that I recommend for daily flexibility training, exercises, movements. And this will be something that everybody can do. You can do it in bed. So I give you no excuses to avoid the flexibility part of this. And then that last component that we have there is the balance and agility. And balance is an issue with PD. Balance is also an issue as we get older. So it's really important as we practice to put that into our daily habits. So I have typically said, practice your balance every day. What other thing do you do every day? Most people brush their teeth every day. So when you brush your teeth, you finish brushing your teeth, you stand at your counter for another minute, you stand 30 seconds on one leg, 30 seconds on the other. And we'll go over ways that you can do that if balancing with no assistance is not available to you, that's fine. We can hold on and just work and make sure that you can stand single support and switch, because that's what a gait is. It's one leg, then the other leg. So it's a sequence of single support movements. So the daily routine. With our daily routine, we want to hit these three components primarily. We've got stretching. So again, I'm going to go over that. The balance, I just went over that. And then that mobility or the strength component. So that strength component, in this one, they're doing body weight. So that picture is of them lunging. And that is that body weight component where they're using their own body weight. You can also take that to a cardio level. So we'll talk about that a little later on. But essentially, if you're doing some of the strength training and you bring it to a much more quicker pace, you can get your heart rate up and work a little harder. So the basis of what I'm saying today, keep moving. Starting today, you're going to build a routine, and this routine is a daily routine. It helps if you find a partner. That person doesn't necessarily have to work out with you. They can just be kind of your accountability partner. You check in with a friend. Hey, I moved today. Check in with a sibling, a child, a partner. You can just keep a log. You can, if you don't have someone physical, your partner could be your daily diary. Today I worked out. Today I did this. But it's just being accountable to yourself is really important. And then that last thing is just smile. And every step that you take is a step for you. Every movement you make is a movement for you. And you should congratulate yourself on that, because it can be really hard. And so giving yourself the benefit and the grace of getting through and moving and doing your best is super important. Pardon me. Here's my info. Robin has all of this, so we can get that to you. We don't have to hang out on this page. And that is it for the presentation part. So quick and easy there. And I can stop sharing my screen now. And answer any questions for right now. So if you guys have any questions, I don't know if you want to type them in the notes. That might take a little bit, but or kind of raise a hand and ask.
Either type them into the notes, or people could also type them into the question and answer, or just raise your hand and I can see if you want to speak.
And I just, while I'm looking through my notes to anything that I might have missed in that, something about the neurodegeneration. So as we age, in general, the research shows that inactivity leads to degeneration. So the fact that inactivity alone leads to neurodegeneration shows you that anyone and everyone experiences that. So to prevent that is basically a move it or lose it. So you have to move it to keep that from happening. And with PD, that can just be happening at an exacerbated pace. So it's super important for that moving component.
One question I had, Jen, was about the, you gave a really good tip, which is find something you do every day and incorporate like standing on one leg into that. So brushing your teeth, you do every day. Hopefully we do a few times a day. And is there anything, some other thing that we could do, something else we do every day where it's easy to incorporate?
So something else that I've thought of that I kind of share with people is every time you sit down to eat a meal. So, and you can put this into a snack to get yourself a few more times, but anytime you go to eat something, before you eat, you do 3 stand and sits. So from your chair, you come all the way up to a stand, balance, sit back down, come all the way up to a stand, sit back down. So by the end of the day, you have maybe 20 extra squats that you've done in the day. I used to use commercials, but nobody watches commercials anymore, so that doesn't work. But you know, those are things you do every day. If your phone rings or if you get a text, these things that happen every day, you can build it in. One of my favorite books, I'll write it down because I will get you this reference too, is Atomic Habits. I think it's by James Cleary, Atomic Habits. And it definitely is the idea of doing 1% better, and how doing 1% better over a year, you're doing amazing things with your habits.
How do you say the first word?
Atomic, ATOMIC.
Okay.
Yeah, Atomic Habits. Yeah.
Look it up and put it in the chat for everybody.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we had a question. Somebody asks, is lifting weights of equal benefit to cardio?
So weight training, so that would be under the strength component. So it is of a different benefit. It is still beneficial. And sometimes, depending on how you're lifting weights, and some of the high intensity interval training classes that are really popular right now, they take that strength training at a pace that you are working cardiovascularly as well. So strength training is tricky. It's beneficial. Can it be cardio as well? Yes, but it depends on how. Cardiovascular is defined as raising that heart rate and keeping it raised. So sometimes with weight training, just lifting weights, you'll lift some weights, your heart rate goes up and it goes back down, and then it lifts up. So it's a continued elevation of that heart rate for that cardiovascular time. Mark has a question.
So the question is, I mean, I have a routine. I do cardio, probably I would say minimum 25 minutes. My heart rate's maybe 110 to 120. The question is more better?
So more instead of more is not necessarily better. You want to have minimum 150 minutes a week is what is recommended. So you say 25 minutes, how many times a week is that? Does that work out to your 150 a minute? Or a week, I'm sorry.
It's 5 days a week. I rest on the weekends.
Okay. So what I would suggest to reach that cardiovascular, because that 5 days a week is 125 minutes a week.
Yeah.
So to get that cardio per week, you're missing like 25 minutes. And I recommend movement every day. And I say that because even on the rest days, you can get that movement. So to take 15 minutes, that's like a walk. For some people, it's up and down their driveway a few times. But to make sure that you're getting the benefit of the minimum cardiovascular per week recommended is 150, and that's for heart health. 150 minutes a week, and that's for your overall heart health. So it's important that you're hitting that. It sounds like you're hitting the strength training part really well, but that cardio, you can do a little more. A little more is better. Minimum 150 minutes a week.
And is there a threshold, Jen, for strength?
So strength training is recommended about 3 days a week. And basically you want to do your strength training and then give your body rest, because the way that we work with that strength training is we are pushing your muscles harder than, just a walk. We are trying to, the way to build strength is to push a little bit, because it works the muscles, it breaks them down a little bit so they can come back stronger. So that's kind of the strength training component. So you'll see a lot of, professional bodybuilders, even they go hard with the upper body, and then the next day they do lower body. They give themselves that break off. And because strength training is metabolically harder, because you are breaking down the muscles in order to build them up, your body does need the rest from that. The cardiovascular levels that most of this population does, they're not the levels where your body needs that extreme rest. And so that's why, your rest day, quote unquote, I still have my clients moving 15 minutes minimum on their rest day, because if you don't move it, and you've heard, if you don't use it, you lose it. I say, if you don't move it, you lose it. So we want to move every day.
Okay, very good. And I put into the chat Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he has his own website, jamesclear.com. And that's in the chat. So maybe people can check it out. Sounds interesting. Okay, well, maybe do some demo, Jen.
Yep.
We'll come back.
Okay, so we are going to move to my trusty floor. So if you guys want to join me on this, you can, or you can just take notes. So I have a mat on the floor, and this is going to be, gotta make sure I can get in the frame here. Okay, so this is what I suggest for a daily routine. When you wake up in the morning, that's probably, everyone can pretty much feel first thing in the morning, they're not wanting to jump out and run a marathon because their body needs to warm up. So I do know most people, the reason they get out of the bed in the morning is to go use the restroom. Go use the restroom, come on back, lay down again, and then start your warm up for the day. And this component works as that flexibility, mobility for every day. You can do it on a mat later, or you can just do this in bed and create this as your routine, because every morning you start out in bed. So laying down on your back, you'll go ahead and start with just bent knees. So just kind of bend your knees, and you'll lift a toe. Just lift your feet and kind of get yourself moving a little bit without doing much. You can even do this with your eyes closed if they're not ready to wake up. Next up, you're going to hug one knee to your chest and just bring it up. If grabbing over your knee doesn't work, you can grab behind your leg and then switch it. So one leg up and then your other. And alternate and do about 10 of them. And this is just starting that movement. Once you do some of those, you're gonna feel the back of the leg kind of getting a little warmer. To increase this and get more of a stretch, as you pull, you're gonna lift your foot up towards your ceiling. Okay, so then we go foot to ceiling. And this is a little bit bigger stretch in the back of those legs and down over your hips. Okay, and even if it's here, that works. Now, if you have trouble even getting here, you can slow this down with a towel. You can put a towel or a sheet around your foot and just pull the sheet up. So I know I don't have that prop to show you, but you'd wrap the sheet around the back of your leg and you can pull it up to assist you. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one is snow angels. So think about when you were a kid and you laid in the snow or the sand if you're from California, and you take those arms out. So snow angels here, I just have you working with your upper body, okay? So your arms are gonna go in that snow angel pattern. Take them up and back down towards your hips. Palms are up. Snow angel them out. As you do this, try to keep your arms down on the floor. You'll reach a point where your chest is tight. Just kind of settle there and open up that chest. Take some deep breaths here. If you have a partner in the bed, tell them to scoot over and then back down. So first is the knee to the chest, then snow angels. Next, we've got a pelvic tilt and bridge. So in the bed, this is kind of hard because you sink in, but you can just take your pelvis and you're gonna lift your rear end up and then back down. So right now, my hips are not coming up at all, but I'm tilting through my pelvis. So my belly button's coming up and then I'm pushing my low back into the floor. So lifting up my low back and then pushing that low back in the floor. So this is just a pelvic tilt, okay? The next step would be that bridge where you're taking the soles of your feet, really pressing them into your bed or the floor and elevating those hips up, press those hips up, and then lower the hips down. So this is a bridge. Up and lower down. As you do this, you're squeezing through those glutes to lift them up and relaxing back down. So this is getting that mobility through your spine, through your pelvis, and starting to work your core a little bit. So the muscles in your midsection, lifting up and back down. Next up, okay, hand to opposite leg. Arms are out, airplane arms. Legs are flat. So this one, right hand to left leg. You can start touching your knee and open it back up. This one's slow and methodical, hand to opposite leg. Hand to opposite leg. Take your time. Come back to big and stretched every time. And this really takes up all your space and you can open through your joints. And this really wakes them up, gets them going. Return every time. And that return every time is important because we're getting that full range of motion and as much mobility as we can. If your arms don't go over your shoulders, if your shoulders don't allow that, just take those arms, airplane arms, but you can still get that same exercise pattern. All right, next up, keep those arms out. We're gonna do an upper body twist. So this is a power move, but I really like it and I use it a lot. So you're gonna take your left hand, you're gonna reach it up, you're gonna reach all the way beyond that right hand, then rainbow it up and over your body again. And then that right hand comes up, rainbow it over, open. So it's a rotate and a reach. And with this, you're lifting that upper body, your shoulder, and bringing it flat, rainbow it up, reach and lift and open. So those exercises are the everyday exercises that I have people do for your warm up. So that's the floor stuff. Now we'll move to the chair exercises. So these are the next exercises we're going to go over. Bunch of chair exercises and then some standing ones. So in your space right now, if you have it, I want you to grab a chair. So the chairs that I use when I have people work out, I'll adjust the screen in a minute once I get us set up, are fairly stable. So these are, let's see, that actually was pretty good. So you want to make sure your chairs are stable. So this works. I don't know, does that work okay? I just want you to see my feet as well. All right. So dining room table chairs work pretty well usually, but nice and stable. Also, if you have trouble and one chair is not enough, you can set up 2 chairs. So you have one on each side, okay? For the different exercises we do when we're standing. So go ahead and get your station right now set up, whether it's chairs on either side or just one. We are gonna start with sitting in a chair. The other thing that I do in class frequently is I'll set up chairs one in a row. So we can sit in the back chair. And when we do the standing exercises, you can stand up and have something to hold on to, okay? If you use a walker, of course, you can use your walker in the front. So make it a safe space for you. That's one of the most important things as we do all of the exercises. You just want to feel safe doing them. If you don't do them, please. So I have alternatives for almost every exercise that I give. Today, as we go through them, if you feel like you're doing any that are a little out of your comfort zone, you can either ask a question or just please take a pause, maybe grab a drink during that time, and we'll go from there. So we're going to start up tall with a march. So we'll just go ahead, march those feet. Things to pay attention to when you march are getting your feet all the way up off the floor. So it doesn't have to be fast, but we just want to make sure we're clearing the floor every time. We can also move our arms into this with a march, march, march. Now this exercise, for some people, you can turn this into a cardio, right? If you keep doing this, your heart rate's going to go up. This is a full body exercise. So if you don't have the ability to stand, you can do this. Or some days it might be kind of hard for you to stand. So this is the best option for that day. So different things we can adjust just depending on where you are, where your PD is, go from there. All right, next we do a kick. Kick out a foot, kick out a foot, kick out a foot, kick out a foot. Just alternating. You can also do this one to a target. I frequently use targets because sometimes we lose track of how far we're kicking. And so what starts out with the first few kicks being like perfect, we get kind of down here. So if you kick to a target every time, you know you're hitting it. The other thing I did last week in class, we were doing the kicks and we were doing high kicks. So leaning back, doing high kicks, and it was just our geriatrics Rockettes going. It was great. We had it all going. All right. So bring your feet back in. And now we're going to shift to an overhead reach. So for this one, you're going to stretch up, extend, look up at those fingers. Now, here we have a stretch. When I look up and reach higher, I can get a few more inches, stretching it up. Other side, stretching it up. So this is working your whole torso, not only the arm, but up here. If your shoulders Don't go up. Instead of taking that arm up, lift from the torso. Okay, so you're gonna do a lift here to stretch the sides of your torso. Look up and pull your shoulder up. Okay, so whatever works for you. Stretch it up. Stretch it up. Stretch it up. We'll do a few more. Okay, good. Next up, we've got a seat walk. So this exercise is important and really beneficial for when you're sitting in a chair and you have to move to the front to stand up. So I want you to start at the front of your chair. So the seat walk, we're lifting up one hip and shifting it back. Then we're lifting up the other hip and shifting it back. So in your chair, you're moving backwards in your chair, then you're gonna move forward in your chair. Okay, this is a little hard to explain, but when you're sitting in that chair and you can't scoot forward and you're trying to get up, kind of think about that. This one helps a lot for that. I'm gonna show you on the floor because it actually makes a little more sense of what you're trying to do, but I won't ask everybody to get on the floor and do this unless you want to. So on the floor, you're sitting tall and you're actually gonna walk with your hips, hip forward, hip forward, hip forward. So I have to lift my leg and that whole hip, and it's a seat walk. You're walking forward and then you walk back. Okay, so this is a really good exercise. It works all through that core and your pelvis. And when you're stuck in the back of that recliner and trying to get up, you can employ that. You know, when you're sitting back and you're like, oh, I have to get up now. Your body's not in that right position. So shifting that weight forward in your chair so you can get your feet set, get your upper body forward, and stand up. It's really helpful. So the seat walk, it's a little funny, but it's really important to work on that. All right, leg lifts are next. So sitting up tall, one leg goes in front, nice and straight. We're gonna raise it up so it's even with the other leg, and we're gonna lift, and we're gonna lift, and we're gonna lift. As you do this, I want you to try to keep that leg straight. Keep it straight at the knee. So you're lifting with that thigh, with the quad. Up and up and up and up and up. Good. Switch it to the other leg now. Out in front, elevate it up, and then lift and lift and lift. Keep it going. We'll go two more. There we go, good. Okay, we've done a good amount with the legs and kind of the hips. We're gonna move to the arms for this next exercise. So posture, really important. A lot of stooped forward that we see. So the object is to bring your chest high, shoulders back. So this exercise, start at your knees, take your hands out, elbows back, chin up, arms up. Okay, so you're kind of making, if you watch football, you're making the post for the field goals, up tall and then back down. Up, pull those elbows back. That's 2. Bring them up, pull it back, 3. Up, pull it back for 4. Up, pull it back for 5. Up, pull it back, 6, 7, 8, 9, we'll do one more, 10. Okay, good. That's the first one. So that's working on the back, on your shoulder blades with your arms up. Now we're gonna keep them even with your shoulders. Okay, so arms stay even. Start with your hands out, thumbs are together. Elbows come out wide, squeeze your shoulders together for 1. Squeeze those elbows towards one another. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, good. Next up, we've got one more way to work on those shoulder blades. I'm gonna take your hands down, sit up tall, try to make as much space between your shoulders and your ears. Pardon me.
Bless
Okay.
you.
Thank you. All right, from here, you're sitting up nice and tall. Your palms are facing behind you. You're gonna push those hands back, keep your chin tall and relax. Push back, chin tall and relax. Push back, chin tall and relax. Keep pressing, chin tall and relax. So this position, when you're pressed back, keep going. I like to think of that sculpture at the front of like old sailboats at the keel with that kind of woman at the front. So press back, chin up and hold. And that squeeze, you'll feel it in your shoulder blades with those arms coming together. So all these last 3 exercises with your arms, they're all working those muscles that are so important to help keep your head up and keep that tall posture. All right, next we have up and out with the legs. This is another power move that's really beneficial. Up and out, so that means foot comes up and out, and then up and in. So we're gonna alternate sides, up and out, up and in. Before we get going on this, I want you to think about where this could be beneficial. So ideally, like if you are in a car, this can be beneficial for helping you get out of the car. So it's getting that foot up and out to the street. Then you can bring the other foot up and out to join it. Now you can get out of your car better. And then same thing, getting back in, you can get those feet up and over the door jamb. So here we go. We're just gonna go side, back to center, side, back to center, and count it out. I know you guys are on mute, but count it out with me. Here we go. Out for 1, back to center. Out for 2, back to center. Out for 3, center. 4, center. 5, center. 6, center. 7, center. 8, center. 9, center. And 10. Back to center. Good. All right. Next up, we've got wide arm circles, sitting up tall, airplane arms. Start small. Start with perfect penmanship circles. Nice circles, drawing with your fingertips. Okay, now take those a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. As you do this, keep that torso up tall and your eyes looking in front of you, straight ahead. So if you find yourself looking to the floor, raise those eyes. Now big circles, as big as you can. Reach out in front, up to the ceiling, back and around. Again, what feels good for you? Big. Everybody's big is their own big. Take up all your space. All right, good. Now, take those feet wide. So for this last stretch that we're gonna do sitting down, I call it the full body stretch. We're gonna take those hands, you're gonna relax down. You can hold on to the inside of your calves and just slide your hands down. If it is within your capabilities, you can reach all the way down to the floor. The further down you go, the more you'll feel this in your hips. Relax your head. Coming back up, pull your belly button to spine to support your back. up tall, lift that head, reach to your tall. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, come all the way forward, reaching down. And then belly button to spine, come up to tall. All the way to tall. And back down. We're gonna do 5 of these. This is 3. Down, relax it. Draw yourself back up. And down we go again. It's a forward fold. Curl it up. Reach, and we'll do 1 more. Down we go. And draw it up. And reach. Good. So those are the seated exercises that I have us doing. We're going to go ahead and stand now. Again, if standing's not within your capabilities today, that's fine. Those seated exercises are really good and covered all the muscles kind of full body. So we'll move on now. With your, so again, set up your space so that you're comfortable. With these, you can either do them in front of the chair or behind. We're going to start with a squat. So you're standing up tall and you're going to go ahead and squat and come back up. I'm going to show you sideways, kind of how that looks. And again, you can have your chair in front of you for a little to hold on to as you squat down and then back up. When you squat, you want to think about aiming for a chair. So that means those hips go back and they have to lower. So if you're doing a squat like this, okay, your hips are still way up. This isn't quite a squat. You got to get those hips down and your shoulders stay above those hips. That's a squat, and that's what we want to work on. If you're squatting this way and letting those knees go forward, that's going to put a lot of strain on your knees. We need to be careful about that. So every time you do a squat, think about sitting in a chair. Hips go back, they lead the way. And then we stand back up.
Jennifer, does it matter how far away the front chair is from you?
Okay, so you want the front chair to be comfortable. If it's too close, what that does is you don't have room to get your body mechanics in, and we're not pulling the chair to stand up. So with a squat, we're really using our legs. So if you find you're pulling to get up, then we need to kind of rewind and work a little more on that squat. Now, I can't see what you guys are doing, so I'm not sure if how we're doing a squat. So I'm just kind of giving you things to think about. Sorry, that's a little annoying. But with your body mechanics, I'm going to rewind a little bit here. We're going to go over properly standing. So if standing is an issue for you, a couple things to keep in mind. Those heels need to get under you. If they're out here, you're not going to be able to stand. You're going to do a lot of the falling back. Pull those heels back. And that's part of that scooting forward, getting your heels under you. Get yourself in a mechanical advantage that's going to work for you. Then the next part, that stretch we did where we touched down to the floor, we're getting our body forward. So now we're weighting through our feet. When you're here, now we can lift those hips and stand up to tall. You want the chair where it's safe if you need it to stand up and balance. So just when you're up, if you want it, just so you can hold on for a little support and then back down again, try to not use that chair. It's there if you need it. So hinge forward, weight on your feet, lift those hips to tall. Same thing, the chair's there if you need it. Slowly down, try to avoid it. Your hips are leading the way and rest down. So this is that sit to stand, up to tall and back down. Okay, so everyone go ahead and stand up. And we're gonna do our mini squats. You can hold on to that chair if you need to. Mini squats, it's kind of teaching you that leading with the hip. So you're gonna soften your knees, push your hips back, and then about 2 inches down and up. So your knees stay soft, hips are back. Weight is on your heels here. If you find yourself sneaking forward, shift those hips back. Your feet are flat on the floor, eyes are forward, squatting down, pulsing. Mini squats here. Good, stand up tall. Okay, the next one we're gonna do, you're gonna use that chair in front of you. You're gonna rotate and stretch it back. So right arm goes and then left arm goes, rotate it wide to the side, look at it with your eyes and bring it back. I'll face you guys now. I don't need the chair. You will have the chair here. I just don't want it blocking me. Arms are on the chair. Take that right arm wide to the side, rotate back, look at it, and then bring it forward. And then switch sides. So this is a big mobility stretch, working through that middle spine and bring it back. Rotate wide to the side. Use your eyes to help you. I want everybody to take your arms forward. Reach that right arm, keep looking at your screen. Take your right arm back as far as you can, wide to the side. Now, take your eyes, look at those fingers behind you. How much further can you go? And then bring it back. Go the other way. Start with looking at the screen. Left arm goes out wide. It gets to a certain point. Now look at it with your eyes. A lot further and bring it back. Remember that for when you're walking. If you elevate your eyes, if you're walking and you're looking down, you lift your eyes up, you start to lift that chest and your posture improves. So your eyes lead a lot of your movement. That's important to remember. All right, next up is a toe tap. I'm gonna just hold this out to the side. You'll stand behind your chair, but the toe tap, put one foot out to the side, pretend there's some great music playing, tap your toe up and down on purpose. So you're probably not listening to music this slow, but we want to make sure we have full ranges of motion. A lot of times if we tap slow, we think we're tapping, but we lose the movement. Up and down, a big tap. You can pretend it's a huge bug and you want to smash it. Or just tap your foot to music, I'm not sure. Up and down, switch to the other foot, toe taps. And toe taps are really important for that gait, because when you're walking, right here, that's that toe tap. Heel down, toe tap. Heel down, toe tap. So these are some of the exercises that lead to a better walk, a better gait. All right, next up, we've got a sway. Again, behind your chair, if you feel more stable there. Feet are wide. Look down, you've got your hips at a certain, feel your hips and your hip bones. You want your feet a little outside of that if you can manage. And now we're gonna sway. So we're starting the sway and your feet are not coming up, but I want you to be able to feel, I shifted my weight one way and then the other way. Sway. If you are able, you're gonna sway and lift. Sway and lift. So this movement right here, for a lot of people, if they freeze, this movement will take them out of a freeze. Because what is a freeze? You get stuck, there's no moving, your both feet are in cement blocks. If you can shift your weight, you take one out of that cement block. If you can take them out of a cement block, then we can walk forward again. Okay, so the sway is really important to practice often, because we want to have this in your toolbox so you can pull it out whenever you need it. So this sway is great. And you can do a walking sway like I'm doing now. So a little forward, and then you can go in circles. If you are comfortable only, please, you can do it backwards, okay? So that sway is super important. All right, side step and tap is another way to make sure that your feet are not too close. Like right now, I can put myself in this position where I'm grounded on the floor on both feet. I have to unweight one of them. So keeping your feet a little wider, I'm going to do a side step and a tap. So this is a little dance step, but again, it can get you out of that freeze. Side step and tap. You can make this a little more dynamic by going a little further and a little faster if that's within your toolbox. Okay, so simple side step and tap, or more quickly if that works for you. All right, the last thing that we are going to work on for the exercises is a high knee. So I will show you this way. You can stand behind your chair. So a high knee is an exaggerated march. So here's a march like we were doing in the chair, making sure that both our feet were coming up. For a high knee, if you do have a chair, I like to say, try to aim to get your knee above the back of that chair. So it's up tall and lifting that knee as high as you can. Lift it up, lift it up. So we'll do 10 of these. So here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right. So you should feel that working, like you're lifting higher than you normally would. It's an exercise that you're doing on purpose. We are going to finish with a one leg stand. So I say one leg stand because, again, if balance is not your great spot, we have to start with just making sure that our body can handle that weight. So if you need to hold on for stability and balance, do that. But we're going to stand on one leg. So go ahead. I'm going to time us for 1 minute. Ready and begin. During this minute, I'm going to chat. So the one leg stand is important because that's how we, again, walk. That is gait. It's standing on one leg, switching to the next in a forward motion. As you hold this, some of you can do it with less support, okay? But the goal is give yourself that timeline to keep practicing. If you need to come out of it, reset, do that. If you need to hold on and just really work on that straight so that your body can handle your weight for that whole time, that's fine too. We're working within your parameters. If this is really easy, you may want to find something that you can touch to. So maybe you'll go side to side. That's hard for me also, side to side. So you can challenge yourself a little bit within that balance. That was a minute. Stand up, give that leg a shake. And we're going to switch it over. Ready and go. So this is your other leg, and you're doing your best standing with support, standing with a tiptoe. Okay, you can do a little kickstand if that's what works for you, but we're giving yourself that 1 minute standing on one leg. And I'll just let you in on this. This is the last exercise we're doing, so you're almost there. Hang in there. Stay tall. While you're standing on this one leg, this is another time to check in with your body. How are you doing? What are you doing at the ankle joint? Okay. What are you doing at your knee? Should be kind of soft at your hip. Squeeze your glute. Tighten through your abs. Relax your shoulder. Lift your chin. This is active. Even if you're holding, your body's actively trying to work to help you with that balance. Okay, and if you can play a little bit, touch, 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 you're doing great. 3, 2, and 1. Come up to tall. All right, I finish all my classes like this. So stand up or sit up tall, whatever's working for you. Take a deep breath. Take those arms wide to the side. Breathe in. And exhale wide to the side. Again, breathe in. And breathe out. Okay, on this last one, you're going to breathe in. Take those hands over your head. Touch them together. Take them through your center. And we finish here. So that is it. Thank you guys for, checking in today. And that is all I have.
That's awesome. Awesome. I know you'd hear everybody applauding if we had everybody on unmute. I had a couple questions about that single leg that we did just before the end. Is it better to do a kickstand or hold, or does it not matter between a kickstand or a hold?
I would recommend trying them both.
Okay.
See which one challenges you a little more. The kickstand can typically give you a little more weight, and you can kind of play with maybe holding on with a finger, just barely touching. So you want to challenge yourself to your 100%. Everybody has their different levels. I did hear a horrible story today, so I will share it with you. And like I say, always stay within your safety zone. And this is why sometimes having a physical partner there is really helpful, because you maybe can push yourself a little more if you have someone supporting you. A woman went to her doctor, and her doctor was like, okay, stand on one leg. Okay, close your eyes. She fell and broke her arm.
Oh, no.
Like in front of the doctor. So,
Oh,
gosh. Stay safe, you guys, but, play with it, but let your person know what you're about to do so they can support you.
Yeah. No,
safely.
You kind of went through things today at a very rapid pace, which was great.
I know.
We wanted to expose everybody to a lot of things in a short period of time. So that was fantastic. But I wondered, you started off with the morning stretch in bed. About how long should that be?
That can be under 10 minutes. I would say like 5 to 7 minutes. If you're loving it, go a little longer, do a couple sets of it.
Okay. And those seated exercises, about how long would that be?
So when we get to the seated exercises, that would be more of what I would call a workout routine.
Okay.
So I would say if you did all of those exercises a couple times through, 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a longer segment, because that's where, that's separating. That's kind of like our workout section versus this is my flexibility, mobility, my everyday,
right.
Hit this one.
And your standing, those would also be your workout, another kind of workout. And
yes,
would that also be 20 to 30 minutes?
It would be, yeah. And so that was what I was saying a little bit more on the, with the strength training, where upper body one day, lower body another day. So with those exercises that I gave you, you could either do them all through, or you could do the seated one day, you could do the standing another day, and kind of mix them up like that.
And do you think that even if people are able to stand, do you think that the seated exercises have value, or are they not necessary? You could skip the seated and just do the standing.
I would say do standing as much as possible. A lot of times with my clients, if they are able, we'll stand the whole time. But for many of them, we'll do a set of 3 to 4 exercises. We'll repeat that 3 times. And then we'll do a seated exercise set, like group of exercises, to break it up a little bit. And today we did about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And so when you can do some standing, some seated, you can work harder for the longer time.
Okay.
And so Mark, that might play into yours. It's like you can do that 25-minute exercise, or you could do some extra things and expand that exercise period a little longer. So
okay, that's good. It struck me that some of the seated ones, even if people had no problem standing, some of the seated ones would still seem to me, a non-expert, still seem to have value, like the your seated where you're walking, the seated walk. It seems like that would be a very good skill to have.
So that one specifically, I recommend to everyone. And if a lot of people who have no trouble standing have an easier time of getting on the floor, and like when I showed you on the floor, that exercise, if you go up and down your hallway, you will feel it tomorrow. Like there are muscles that we don't know that we need to work. And so a lot of times with PD, those smaller muscles are the ones that get forgotten. because you're, and those are the ones that, because we don't use them, they're not as strong, or we don't realize we're using them. And so the larger muscles, we tend to be stronger longer. And so by doing those small specific exercises, it's like, oh, and those exercises transfer to maintaining that mobility a little longer. So they are important.
Yeah, one other one that I thought, again, even if you can stand, one other one that was seated that I thought might really have value would be the toe tap. Oh, and you gave that one standing as well, but I think that one seems to have a lot of value, not just for walking, but for ankle flexibility.
Yeah, it's really good. And actually, a lot of times standing, I give it like this because we have balance, we have a little bit of cardiovascular, we have a lot more work, and we have that sway. So I do that one standing as well a lot.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
I'll turn it back over to anybody else who might have questions. And I wrote down geriatric Rockettes.
Yeah, people like that. The other day I said that and they're like, okay, that's funny.
And if anybody would like to speak, just raise your hand or type something into the Q&A or chat. And if not, we'll just wrap up. Oh, and Jennifer, while we're waiting to see if anybody has questions, could you talk about the classes that you teach and the videos you have online?
Okay, so I teach here. This is in San Jose at St. Francis Episcopal Church. This class runs every Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30, and everybody's welcome. It is supported by the People with Parkinson's support group. So the class is free of charge for participants. And again, anybody's welcome. Any level is welcome, but currently we do not have anybody in the class who is using a walking aid. That doesn't mean that you can't come, but I just want to let you know right now, everyone coming to the class is walking on their own. But I have had many levels. I've had people who are only in wheelchairs come as well. So I do my best to adapt. And like I said, if I have a standing exercise, I probably have a sitting exercise. So I keep people moving. So that is offered again on Wednesdays, 1:30 to 2:30. It totally conflicts with this group, but only once a month. And then on Thursdays.
Very important. So we always encourage people, if push comes to shove, get your exercise in.
Yeah. And then on Thursdays, I have a Zoom class that is offered. It's a lot of the things we did today. It's just me on a screen and you on a screen, and you can choose to have your video on or not. That link will be out available for you. That class is at 2:00 on Thursdays. And then on YouTube, I have a channel with a lot of videos, and I've not added a video in a very long time, but I'm thinking of
but there are a lot there.
There are at least 60. Yeah. There's at least 60. Yeah. So, you know, even if you did one of them a week, it's over a year's worth of videos. So there's a couple specific videos that are really great. There's some that are only seated. I actually have a morning routine on there that I think is 8 minutes. So you can find what I did, do it along with me. So those resources are out there. So that's me specifically, but I also want to say, if you go on YouTube and you put PD exercise, you will find videos. There's so many things out there. And I know the Stanford site has a ton as well. So if you want to move, you can move.
That's right. And start moving today.
Do it today.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I don't see any questions or comments, but I know everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. So Jen, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see everybody next time, and we'll see Jennifer probably on YouTube down the road.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much again for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. See everybody.
Bye.